I can't hear you.
We can hear you.
So just so you all know, in the group, we're here for your amusement. We found this great new technology, and for the past 20 minutes, we've been playing back and forth on hearing each other and seeing each other. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Dave, you have to scoot it over. Is it working? Oh, you do? This is
really hear me.
They're going out.
So the funny thing about this,
literally only hear me.
So the funny thing about this is we can hear Molly, but Molly can't hear us. So this could be quite fun. So we're going to interview Dave Vickers tonight. We're going to get on with it. We're going to see how this rolls. I hate that Molly can't hear us, but we don't want to keep you waiting any longer, and we don't want to keep Dave waiting. He's 4 hours ahead of us, so it's super late.
Five.
Yeah,
it's 12 nearly.
And we're so grateful that he is late. Well, Dave, why don't you get us started and just tell us about you and what you do. I've gotten to know you here in Louisville, but you're not anywhere close to Louisville right now.
No, I'm 3,000 miles away, exactly, from my house to Louisville, because I put it in Google Maps. It'll take me a long time to walk, but hopefully I'll be getting on a plane in September, fingers crossed, and coming over to see everybody again. But hello, everybody who's watching. Some of you will know me, some of you won't, but my name's Dave Vickers, and I'm a medium, if you like. I communicate with spirit for the better good of myself and everybody else. Hello, everybody who's watching. Oh, I can hear my own voice talking now.
Yeah,
that must be on Molly's. And I'm a medium, if you like.
Okay,
some time delay. I'll carry on.
I got it. Ready? Go ahead.
Oh, right. Okay. So I've been working with spirit now since I was 18, so about 36, 37 years, in the capacity of a medium, a psychic, tarot reader, whatever you want to call it, as well as healing. I personally believe that everybody can communicate with spirit if they want to. You know, some say it's a God-given gift. It is a gift in a way, but some people are more passionate about it, so therefore communicate on a different level. Easy way to explain that is we can all paint, we can all draw, we can all sing, but some of us, well, not me, but a lot of people can sing better than somebody else, can paint, can draw better than somebody else because they have more passion. I'm like that with communicating with spirit, but I love it. For those that you know me, I'm a bit of a crazy man, crazy Dave, the comedian medium, they say. I tell it as it is, have a laugh, and I just love the energy spirit brings. And I love guiding others. I'm like their, if you like, personal tour guide along their pathway of spirituality. That's me in a nutshell.
I love that. And I met you when you came to Louisville to do a big event, and you were teaching at the Louisville Spiritualist Center, which is also how Paul and I were connected there. What would you say?
I think that was about 4 years ago.
I don't know. Has it been that long? It's been a while, but what I'm excited about is that you'll be here in September and you'll be teaching here. And I'm curious how you started your gifts. Like, when did they start? Now, I've read your book, so I know a piece of your story.
I should have had a copy with me, a bit of advertising, but I didn't. I don't think like that. Unless, no, I haven't got one.
Well, I went through it so fast, and that was the first time I met you, is when I got that book. Light On. Tell me the full title.
Can I have the light on? Or can I leave the light on?
Yeah.
Even I forgot, it's late.
Right. I'm so sorry. But which I loved because it tells your story and it tells how you first started to recognize spirit. So I would love if you wouldn't mind.
That's right. And just give an insight to those that haven't bought it. It is available on Kindle. It is available on Amazon. Find it if you want. I'll put a link on later. But it tells the story of my spiritual awakening, if you like. And I called it Can I Leave the Light On? Because I used to be scared of the dark. And as a adventurous 11-year-old, I was very scared of the dark and the shadows and things I was seeing in the dark. And I was very curious. At that age, I'd been to Baptist church, so I'd done the God side, not really understood it, not really accepted it, and could never understand what was the point of living just to die, to go in the ground. Molly's disappeared. Hopefully she's not gone in the ground and she'll be back soon. She's there again. I can see her on this one, but not that one.
So if I look down, that's why.
But my curiosity just set my mind thinking there's got to be purpose to us living. There's got to be something else. And I think it was my own curiosity that, if you like, turned my spiritual light brighter. And if you turn a light bright at night, you get all the moths, all the flies and everything attracted to it. And I think my pure energy started attracting different spirits. And from the age of 11, I started seeing spirits in my own bedroom, around the house, around where we lived in the countryside. I saw what people would call ghosts, apparitions, some with only half bodies, and the list goes on and on. And from the age of 11 right up to the age I am now, still young, every day is connected to spirit in some way, shape or form. I could spend a lifetime telling people about my adventures, if you like, and experiences, but I won't. That's why I wrote a book. Can I leave the light? Have we lost Molly?
Well, she and I are messaging back and forth.
Right.
She may come back, and I'm going to do a little point so we can hear her ask her question.
That's
but
fine.
until she comes back, I do want to say that a couple people have said, and I'll have to see who these are, or we'll look back later. But can I leave the light on? Somebody was probably correcting me, and they said, I love this book. And we are getting Molly back, so we'll see if we can hear her. One. She is back. Okay. And I'm not sure
Hello,
if
Molly.
Molly? No, we can't hear you.
I can hear you.
Molly, Dave, you can hear Molly?
Speak, Molly. Hello. No, she's gone again.
Okay. And then we, yes, and somebody commented about Molly. She's returned to the dark for a moment, and we'll return with more light, is what they said. So
that's quite funny. Just interrupt there, because my next book I'm part writing is called Dark and Light, Shadows of the Mind. So that was a good, thanks for that, Molly. A nice little indirect promotion.
And so I told them, I'm going to like point to you do you have a question ready, Molly? Do you feel like you need to write it out? Dave, I'm so sorry, Molly. But I
you should have her on your mobile phone on speaker.
I could.
Get her to ring you on the mobile phone on speaker.
Do you want me to put you on speaker, Molly? She's telling us.
You could text her that, because if you ring her and put her on speaker, you'll be able to talk. True.
Okay. Yes, and thanks for your all's patience on this platform, which has worked really well, but it's entertaining. Okay, Molly looks like she's looking at us, but she's working on something. Okay, so Dave, I'm going to ask you another question while we're working these other technology pieces. When did you start giving readings? Like, what took place to start readings and start doing this energy work that you do and teaching?
Well, on a semi-professional way, or probably doing it properly, again, would be when I was about 18 or 19. I did my first spiritualist church service at the age of 19, and started doing mini readings via psychometry, which is the holding of an object. And I have to be perfectly honest, when I was first introduced to it, I thought, yeah, it's all in the mind, we're just making it up. But the things that I seem to be able to come out with for people, information, was just astounding. And I couldn't believe it. I was just as much shocked as they were. But Spirit started working with me in a very cryptic way. And 37 years later, they still do. An example of that is when I first started doing readings. At the time, I was installing gaming machines, pool tables, snooker tables, and Spirit kept giving me cryptic symbolic messages of different shots on a pool table. So if it was a difficult shot, then that meant it was a difficult time for the person. If it was an easy shot, the colour of the balls, etc. And that's how I worked for a long time, and it just progressed and progressed.
I love that. I do have Molly on speaker, which is awesome. So I'll let her ask a couple questions. We can hear you, Molly.
Hello.
We hear you.
It sounds a bit like I'm singing the national anthem at Shea Stadium.
Perfect. Well, welcome to our live. I've asked Dave, about his gifts and about him starting readings, but I definitely knew you had some questions that you wanted to ask, and Dave is just so clever to be like, call her on her phone.
Yeah, this is working out. It's a little bit of a Band-Aid, but it's working, so that's good. Yeah, I did have some questions. Some of the things that I was kind of curious about, was there perhaps a pivotal moment during your development that really created kind of a pivot in your path and impacted how you approach mediumship?
I couldn't pinpoint one exact part, because whenever I felt that I needed to learn more, Spirit have always let me meet somebody that will help me advance. So I seem to meet the right people at the right time. But I think if I was to have to point one, my awareness grew when I was in a very bad place within my own life and my own mind. And I think it's because I was feeling down and alone, although I got lots of people around me. I looked inwards, and inwards is my own spirit, which then connected with other spirits. And admittedly, some of the experiences were very scary. One, just very quickly to mention, was when I was lying in my bed. I must have only been about 19 or 20. And I had the light on because I was scared of the dark. I had my faithful sheepdog Shep at the side of me, slept in my bedroom. And I lay there and I smelt the fragrance of fresh flowers. I thought I was dreaming, but no, I was wide awake. And about 4 foot above the bed was a whole bouquet of different coloured flowers. And they started to float towards me. And I thought, beautiful. I was scared, but they were beautiful, meant no harm. But then when they got right above me, every one of the flowers wilted and died and fell down on me. I've never moved out of that bed so quick. Well, there was another time, but you'll have to buy the book for that one. But yeah, so it's probably just as much the more very scary connections, as well as the loving connections when I've connected loved ones with people having readings, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of a follow-up to that, because it's something that I've had to deal with myself, is how did you learn how to deal with the fear, with the scary things? Well,
fear, and again, anything I give and anybody that's listening, it's always my opinion. I'm not an expert on it, and I don't believe there's a right or a wrong. We can only share our own opinions from our own experiences. And fear is manifested within yourself. I don't believe in evil. It's how we interpret it. And back at that young age, my mind would have been wild. Some say it still is now. Helen certainly says it still is now. But it was my interpretation will have generated my fear. And if I remember back to them, because I remember them times very clearly, how I felt, even now my heart's racing a little bit at the memory. But my way of dealing with it then was to run. We've got the flight, fright, run or stay thing within our bodies, flight or fright. My guides just reminded me. And at that time, it was to fight. And I retaliated, swearing, shouting, and turned the radio up louder to try and change the energy. But nowadays, and over the last few years, I'm in control. There's nothing in the spirit world that can harm me unless I let it. So if I build up the fear, then I become at harm. You know, if I don't, then I'll be fine. Yes, it can be very scary. Some of those that have seen me do trance and allow spirit to come through can be very scary to those watching. I get buzz out of it, but at all times I'm in control. And I would encourage any up and coming medium, anybody developing at any stage, or those that have been working with spirit for many years, just to know you are in control all the time. If you say no, it's not going to happen. However, if you are curious, curiosity isn't saying no. So if you feel an uneasy presence around you and you're thinking, I don't want it, I don't want it, but then part of you thinking, I wonder who it is, that I wonder is the opening of the door, if you like, that will invite that energy in. It's as simple as that. A lot of teachers, a lot of people that guide complicate it so much. I keep it simple. Simple yes or no. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I'll tell them. But everybody has to develop their own way. But control and self-discipline is key to any communication. Just getting me water. I don't know where I put it. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do the same.
Awesome. And I'll keep going.
Yep.
I've been drinking coffee throughout. So, yeah, I love what you talk about. I often tell people to be more curious, like about the same thing. And that may complicate it. I don't know. But I feel like there are so many teachers and so many options to learn. And I always tell people to follow their gut and to go with where they feel guided, that there are plenty of us to help guide and teach.
That's right.
But I love that curiosity, and that's a piece that maybe I did pick that up from you when we had class together. But you have such a fun way of teaching, and you do this travel throughout England and teach as well, correct?
Yes. I'll just go back a little bit about the way spirituality, the way awareness is taught is down to the individual's teacher's own experiences. Many of you listening may have heard of the Arthur Findlay College in the UK. I give it a thumbs down. That's because I'm British and I know a lot more about it. It does wonders for people. Don't get me wrong. There's many a good medium that's been developed at the college and come away. However, unfortunately, let's move on from that. I shouldn't have opened that can of worms, but it's a different way of teaching. And I think there has to be ethics when you work with spirit. But when it comes to what is right and what is wrong, that's where the challenges come. Because you tend to find, and I found it when I've been over there as well, certain teachers, etc., want to put restrictions and boundaries on their students, which is wrong. If I'm teaching a class, if I have a student that will excel and better what I do, that is brilliant. I have done my job. I'd like to see all my students, wherever they are in the world, to be doing tons better than me. And I can look and say, wow, I helped guide them a little bit, but they've done it themselves. So I try not to set any boundaries restricting my students. And I find, unfortunately, a lot of teachers out there do. As soon as their students get on a level where they're similar to their teacher, they get put down, if you like, or moved to the side or aren't taught anymore. It is a very bitchy world out there in whichever country you are when it comes to being aware of spirit. It's so natural, but there's too many people that commercialize it and want it all. This is what I say, this is what I do. And I know people have to charge. I have to charge for readings because I do it as a living. I don't earn a living from it, far from, you know, but what I do get goes back into me working more with spirit.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. It makes perfect sense because I've studied different places. I know Molly has as well. And you really have to take what sits well and resonates for you. So if I was to teach something and it didn't sit well, then you just push it on aside and move on with what feels good for you. I feel like that's important. I'm just going to real quick say, if some of you would like to ask questions, I'm going to keep an eye out for questions while we're still talking to Dave, but feel free to put those in the comments. And then I wanted to see what else Molly wanted to ask.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I'm curious about. I guess, one of the things that has really been interesting to me in the process of my own journey is as my abilities have strengthened, I've noticed that they have shifted. And you mentioned seeing spirit and apparitions when you were younger, and I also had that experience. And then I shifted to predominantly, being clairvoyant and see things in my mind's eye. And that has since shifted, and now I'm working mostly from a clairsentient space. So I'm curious about your own experiences with that.
Well, whatever the clair is, clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudience, again, my opinion, it all comes from the same source. All the names and the different ways of working have been invented by man, by humankind, and given a name, because we have to have a title for something for us to understand it more as human beings. So whether you're working clairvoyantly, clairaudiently, clairsentiently, it's all coming from the same source. It has to come into your subconscious thought. It has to come onto that wavelength, that energy dimension from the spirit world to the earth world, and you pick it up as a receiver. Now, whether you think you hear it, see it, smell it, sense it, or just know it, it still originates from the same source. The reason I believe that we say we're more clairaudient, clairsentient, clairvoyant is because it sits well with our explanation to our own self. But if I see too many people get into the trap where they say, oh, right, I've got to learn to work clairaudiently and push clairvoyance to one side, which is wrong. You should imagine you've got this big bag of tools, every clair you could imagine in your tool bag. And really, when you start to work with spirit, whether in a healing capacity or giving messages, you are simply working with spirit and open to that energy. Everything that comes to you will come into your subconscious, into your auric energy field, and you will interpret it. Occasionally, and very occasionally, the information coming through on the energy level, move that way, will be like that. I can't get my fingers level. And the message will be perfect. 95% of the time, it's like that. So therefore, we only receive little bits. Imagine it like a satellite transmission being interfered by different energies, different storms, and we're only catching bits of the transmission, a bit like this live when we were trying to set it up. We could see bits, we could hear bits, we could sense bits, and we've had to now put it all together through different means. So by all means, when you say you want to and you're learning to enhance your clairsentience, remember, we can sense, we can hear, we can feel just with emotions. We can smell through our emotions. If somebody reacts to a nasty smell, whether it's perfume or any other sort, our body reacts. Even if we don't smell it, we tend to react. And then our brain says, well, we haven't really smelt it, but we reacted. And that's the same with spiritual energy. I mean, it's like if I was to tell you, Molly, there is a monk standing behind you, I can see him, but I can't physically see him, or everybody watching this would see him. But I know he's there. I could tell he's in a white habit, a white robes. I describe him as a monk because that's all my mind knows. I'm being told, though, he's a druid. But my own terminology is a monk. So again, have I heard that? Have I seen it? Have I sensed it? I've just been aware of it. Hope that makes sense. I keep forgetting where I put my water. Because everything's reversed on the screen, so I keep going to the wrong side. Yeah.
Me too. I tried to fix that hair just a while ago. Yeah, well, and I love watching, whether through mediumship or trance channeling. I love watching Dave do that work. How your whole body takes over and allows you to feel the spirit even more. So I love watching you do that work. Do you often do that in England too, the trance work as well as the mediumship?
trance in England isn't as widely looked upon as a way of communicating for whatever reasons. I tend to do trance more on my own for my own guidance. It's quite amusing if I'm doing a trance session and my son's at home and he says, "Dad, who were you talking to in the bedroom?" I says, "Why?" And he says, "Well, I keep hearing these different voices come out." And it's ever so weird because I'm like having a conversation with myself, and I get some really good words of wisdom and guidance for my own life and others by doing self-trance, if you like. I try to record it, and Spirit, unless they want you to record it, it's not happening. Doesn't matter what technology I use, whether I use a phone, a recorder, anything. If they don't want it recording, it's not happening. It really isn't. But trance, again, is very much like the individual that teaches it. It can either be crazy, wild, or made to be special just for certain people. But I'll tell you, any of you out there that are healers or use any tool to communicate with Spirit, you are in trance. You are in an altered state. And that's what trance is. I just choose to take it a little bit deeper, but I'm in control all the time. I love the characters that come through. Very quickly, just tell you about one that my darling Helen would love to come back, and I just can't seem to get his energy back. And that's a French doctor called Andre. And my darling wife Helen says he's got the most sexiest French accent going. I cannot do it to save my life. Missed out on that one. So wherever he is, if he's listening, get back. But trance is fun as long as it's controlled.
Thank you. Molly, do you have a couple of questions before I open the questions up? We definitely have a couple of questions, but
yeah, I guess I will ask about if there's any one reading that stands out to you that impacted you on a personal level that you kind of carry with.
I couldn't say one. There's been many and continues to be many. If I just pick a few out of my mind, I think one from probably about 20 years ago, I was doing a demonstration, a public demonstration, and the crowd were okay. I was a little bit nervous, and I was struggling, to be honest. And if a medium starts to struggle, their own energy drops and Spirit just move away. So it becomes even harder. But I was really asking Spirit to give me something to wow the crowd, if you like. And I went to one lady, and I can remember it now. I said, your grandfather is showing me a little silver tin. Now, to me, that's too generalized. Everybody could have a silver tin. So in my mind, I told Spirit, come on, I need more, although the lady was satisfied with that. But then Spirit then continued to tell me the unusual name written on it and spell it out to me, which was 100% accurate. My jaw hit the floor. I'm like, wow, where did that come from? Obviously, I know where it came from. So that was one. And then another one was when I did a demonstration. I don't know if you two was on that one at Louisville, where I brought the little girl through for one of the audience at LaGrange. And I've still got a yellow bow from that a mother gave me. And I brought little Ella in. And I could hear her singing and skipping up and down the aisle towards her mother. It was very emotional, and that one stays in my mind as well. But there are many. I can't say every reading I do I want to remember. I don't remember the content. So if I was to do a reading for you now, Molly, and then you rang me up tomorrow, I wouldn't have a clue. There's just certain little elements I remember. But there's some readings I don't enjoy doing. I'm only human. You know, sometimes my energy will gel with somebody and sometimes it won't. And that's the way it is. I can't do a reading for everybody. But yeah, many memorable ones, and hopefully many more to come.
I'm sure you will. Molly, do you want to ask another question, and then I'll take a look at the questions we have? It's up to you.
Yeah, why don't we jump into the questions that are coming in the comments?
Okay, cool. Dave,
Yeah.
One of the first things someone wrote, and I know they said, see my question above, so I'm going to go back to this. So it says, Molly's questioning about pivoting has me wonder what suggestions Dave has for me for pivoting and dancing well in the best position today, tomorrow, in the next few months. So it feels like something in general, how we pivot and adapt.
We adapt by trying to keep things as simple as possible. I do stress over things. People think I must have a perfectly calm life, but no, I'm no different to everybody else. Same challenges, same bills, same. I want to scream, but I try to keep everything simple. And if I was to give somebody some advice of how to keep their life going to a coping level, would be don't waste energy. Don't waste energy on things that you've got no control over or that are causing you anxiety. And this goes with spirit communication as well. If you're struggling on developing in one way, put it to one side and do something else. But life is all about what energy we conceive or waste. And I'll give you a very quick story. Many, many, many years ago, I've been with Helen now 24, 25 years. But prior to that, I went through a really nasty divorce. And my ex-wife, bless her, told the British court she would ruin me financially, physically, spiritually, and mentally. She did all of them. So I was in a dark place and I hated her for a long time. But one day I woke up and thought, what a waste of energy. And I stopped hating her. And within months, my life's changed and I met Helen. And that's an old story. So pivotal points is the realization of what and where you're wasting energy. Have a look at life. Try and keep it simple. If decisions can be a simple yes or no, work that way. But remember, we have to deal with the consequences. There's consequences to everything. But then that gives us an opportunity to look at it in a different way. So energy. I think hopefully that answers it.
I think that was a great answer. I love that because I feel like we do hang on to things that we're frustrated with or that are happening. And the more that we let those go and let that energy flow, the flow helps. So a couple of comments. Teachers are students as well. And then the word teach came up for me and a friend, and what came through is we are helping students remember who they are and help guide and facilitate their developing their gifts. So I thought that was beautiful.
Yep. That's brilliant. Teach. I don't teach people. I guide and share my experiences. And for those that have given me the privilege to guide them anywhere in the world, I always give them the choice. It's up to you whether you don't believe what I say, use it as a guide and go out there and experience for yourself. Because what I can tell you how to communicate with spirit the way I do, but I can't guarantee it's right. There should be nobody out there telling you it should be done this way. They can only share their own personal experiences. And this was what I was saying earlier about certain colleges, etc. There's too many rules. When it comes to communicating with spirit, we should be guided. We should be guided by those that have experienced things before, including children, best mediums going. And we should be guided by our loved ones and our own spirit guides, our angels, etc. Our own heart and our own intuition. Best guide going, but we don't always trust it.
Have you ever had spirit, woo, all the words are coming out now. Have you ever had spirit push your boundaries?
Say again. I lost you at the end.
That's okay. Have you ever had spirit push your boundaries?
Oh, yes. I love it. I love it. I'm always asking them to take me that little bit deeper, push me. And they give me a little shock now and again. But remember what I said earlier, fear is manifested within myself. So if I'm asking spirit, hi, Molly's back. If I'm asking spirit to come very close to me and suddenly they're there in my face, then I've asked them to. They normally disappear very quick because I normally am in shock. But I will always ask to push the boundaries because that's how me on a personal level learn and evolve. I need to go a little bit deeper. With my trance, I'm too nosy. Whenever I do trance, I'm standing at the side of myself listening. And if I could just go away a little bit, I'd probably go a lot deeper. But I'm learning myself with my trance, because they're really working on my voice box now. And although it's painful in a way to me, and that's one way I'm pushing the boundaries, I'm giving them permission to work more on my voice box. But I also tell them not to cause too much damage. Now, they're physically not doing any damage. It's the energy that's affecting me. My body has to react to energy, and that's where I feel the pain. Please don't think spirit give me physical pain, because they don't.
And I appreciate that. The trance, getting deeper, I'm really nosy about that myself. I don't know if I'm communicating with spirit during meditation. I feel a full body vibration of energy in meditation. Extremely powerful feeling of love, energy, more powerful than full body feels. Is this spirit?
I think whoever's asked that knows the answer, and the answer is yes. Meditation is about changing your focus from anything but normal life. You know, all the challenges we've got on, if you can focus, if you can do a meditation, whether it's for a minute, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, you are connecting with spirit. First of all, you're connecting with your own spirit. And then you go off on that little journey in your mind, that journey of imagination. Where does imagination come from? Who knows? You are connecting with spirit. What you could try, and always test spirit out. You know, they're not going to give unless you ask. So next time you do your meditation, write something down, read it a few times so it imprints in your subconscious, and then go off on your meditation. See if you get any guidance. If you do, you do. If you don't worry, do it again. I would say you are connecting with spirit, and I would say you're connecting with the energy of a lady's energy around him when you're meditating. And I don't know who's asked this question, because on my laptop it just says Facebook user. It doesn't tell me who. So whoever you are, by all means drop a comment on the normal one and I'll read it later. But it is a very strong lady's energy that is connecting with you in when you're meditating. But that's for a different evening, that one. I can hear her laughing in my ear. But yeah, you definitely are connecting with spirit.
I would say you may have a few more questions on here, but let's see how many we get through, and then you can let us know.
I'm fine.
Are you still doing virtual readings right now?
Am I what? Sorry?
Are you doing virtual readings sessions with others through FaceTime like this?
Not at this moment in time.
Well, obviously not right now. But
I've been.
Like, ask questions. Are you doing
Well,
sessions?
this is how spirit works. Because when it comes to readings in the UK, if you was wanting a reading from me and you ring our centre, if I answer, you're very lucky to get a reading, because I will go on the energy of your voice. If I do not like it's wrong to say if I don't like, if I don't seem to connect with the energy, you're not getting a reading. Simple as that. It's not about earning the money. If you ring and Helen answers the phone, she'll book you in. So I do pick and choose, and that's not because I don't want to help people. Some people ask for readings and they don't need one, and I'm not going to take their money off them if they don't need a reading. Okay, so I work on the energy. But getting back to what you're saying, virtual readings, I don't normally do face-to-face readings over the internet. However, spirit woke me up in the early hours the other day and kept going FaceTime, FaceTime, FaceTime. And I'm thinking, well, what the hell are they on about? And the next day I got up to 2 inquiries to see if I would do a FaceTime reading. So that's what I've been doing, Facebook FaceTime readings. And they seem to be working out okay. However, though, I do say they're only meant to be 30 minutes. And after an hour, I have to say goodbye. I'm crap at timing. When spirit flowing, they're flowing. If they're not, they're not. But yes, I will do, and I'm doing virtual readings, if you like.
Cool. I wonder if spirit wanted me to ask that for a reason, because that was just kind of popped out of my mouth. Okay, the next one says, can you talk about the different kinds of spirit guides you have?
You sound like a fish.
Do I sound like a fish? Okay.
I'll see if I can read it myself. Say again.
Can you talk about the different kinds of spirit guides we have? I have heard we have 5, but I only know of doctor, teacher, gatekeeper, and joy guide.
We have 5 guides, do we? I wonder who wrote that in a book. Guides. I smile when people say, tell me about the guides. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Have 500. Have 1 or 2 guides. How can I quickly explain them in my words? Imagine if you go to the gym. I only imagine I go to the gym because I ain't going really. But if you went to the gym or you went to classes at your centre, individuals will teach different things. So it'd be no good me coming to your centre and trying to teach yoga because I know nothing about it. It'd be no good the yoga teacher trying to teach first aid because they might not know nothing about it. So imagine your guides as different teachers for different lessons. So therefore, as you evolve spiritually and become more aware, my first guide's long gone, you know. I've got new guides in, my trance guides changed. So whether whoever's said this 5, I can't say they're wrong. Well, I can, but that's in my experience. Don't limit your number of guides. Never turn around and say, I've only got 5, because that 6th guide that's waiting in the wings ain't going to come because your energy will push him away or her away. I think you do have a main guide that's with you from the day you take your first breath. Call them your guardian angel, your main guide, your gatekeeper. Many man-made names are given to them. But mine chop and change. My main guide for trance is still Abraham. However, it's not very often he's around, but I think about him and I start to be able to go into trance. One of my main guides for when I'm doing demonstrations is my grandma, who boosts my confidence. As soon as she gives me my confidence, she buggers off. Yeah. So I have different guides. Deep philosophy, I have a guide called Joshua. That might have been his name, her name, its name. It's just a name I'm happy with. So 5 guides, nah. Many guides, yes. Changing guides, yes. Ask. And when you ask your guide their name, if nothing comes, don't worry. If you get a name, don't question it. So let's just say you're working on automatic writing and you ask, okay, I can sense spirit around me. What's your name? And they say, Jack. Yeah, just go with it. It's only a name. You need to give something a name to get a stronger sense of working with it rather than my guide. Joy guides, for example, it scares me when I come over to the States and hear people talking about they need to work with their joy guide. It scares me that they'll become too reliant on that single joy guide. I will tell you that if your joy guide is called Mary, right? When you communicate with spirit, the chance of it being the same energy and guide as Mary is probably lower than 0. It'll be a different energy working with you. But if you want to believe it's your joy guide, fantastic. It makes you feel good. But I guarantee it's not the same energy. We've got to get out of the habit of relying on set things, else we're not going to evolve. Just my opinion. I hope I don't offend anybody. I don't mean to offend anybody. So I apologize if I have. Slap wrist.
I love your feedback on that because I get that question a lot. And I just got it last week and I was like, well, I hear there are 5, but I don't know that. So I appreciate your feedback on that because I have many and I get new ones that come in. Thank you.
Well, and I agree. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh.
But I really appreciate your thoughts about, really marrying into the idea of a number and the specific kinds of guides, because it does create this kind of box, this limitation, and it's very hard to, really experience the full range of spirit when you put those limitations in place.
Good. And the range is always changing.
Mm-hmm.
There is no boundary to spirit communication because we're human form. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, when we get spirit side, we'll just be wow, because it'll be all pure energy of love and light. But in human form, we're only capable of understanding a very tiny amount. We only scrape the surface of communication, and this is why it's not widely accepted throughout other belief systems, if you like, or it's shunned by certain people and religions, that it's the so-called devil's work and things like that. Is because we're too boxed in with human nature, if you like.
Well, and I think people like structure. I think, especially when they're learning, they like to feel like there is some structure around things.
I thoroughly agree, but structure, if you like, needs to bend as well.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be set firm. There's too much structure as we grow up and what we're taught. It's like a horse in the Kentucky Derby with the blinkers on. So it can't see what's going off at the sides. It can see the finish line and what it needs to do to get there, but it can't see what's going on at the side. And there might be something at the side. They might take a slight detour. They might take longer to get to the finish line, but they might learn something new. And it's the might that worries me sometimes, that certain ways of learning get taken away from the individual. We have free choice. We should be able to say, yes, that makes sense to us, or no, it doesn't, or we don't like that, and walk away. But sometimes that structure is too rigid.
Right.
Yeah, we need structure, but we need flexibility within that structure.
Well, and it's kind of that structure, especially when we're young and starting out, that causes most people to lose their connection with spirit in the first place.
It is 100%.
Yeah.
Kids are the best mediums going. They don't know the concept of telling untruths. They have the imaginary friends. And as far as drawing auras, if you've ever had a young child come home from kindergarten or wherever, and they've got this picture they show you, look mum, look grandma, auntie, etc., and it's just one mass of color, looks a big mess, but then they tell you a whole story about it. That's because they've interpreted their own auric energy, their own emotions at that time. And then they'll hear something go creak in the night and they're told, don't exist. There's no ghosts. You're dead, you're buried, you're going to get resurrected at some point. And then blinkers get tighter.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was to say, if I had one job in life, it's to open them blinkers a little bit and let people see what's going off in the sidelines and make their own choices.
Perfect.
That's my thoughts.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. Jess, I know we're cruising towards the end of your time this evening.
It's 1:05 here in the UK.
Yes, really late there. So I would love, Dave, we can always do this again, but
Let's
Dave
do it again.
Live Friday night at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to do readings. So join us earlier on Friday so that Dave won't have to crash after. But we're really grateful that you joined us tonight. And thank you for your patience. Do I sound like a fish still?
You're very welcome. You did sound like a fish again then, but I got the gist of what you was on about. It's always a privilege and a pleasure to work with spirit in any way, and just chatting with good friends and like-minded people like yourselves. It is a way of making that light brighter for all to see. Spirituality is like a lighthouse. The light is always shining, but we don't always see it. It's on a thing going around, but we see it when we need it. And when we don't, we don't. Simple as that. Simplicity of spiritual awareness is there for everybody. Open up your eyes, folks. Let it in.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
We will see you Friday.
You'll see me Friday.
Yeah.
Technology allowing. Right. Now we have to see who's going to turn off first.
I got it. All
You
right.
got it. Thank you, everybody.